Picture a man named Ray standing in a parking lot, staring at a 10-year-old Honda Civic that most people would drive to a grocery store and forget about the moment they stepped inside. It has four wheels, a working engine, and a coat of faded silver paint that nobody would ever look twice at. To any casual observer, it is simply transportation, a tool for getting from one place to another. But Ray does not see a tool. He sees a blank canvas. He sees something waiting to be transformed into a statement the world cannot ignore. Within 2 years, that forgotten Civic will sit lower to the ground, breathe through a custom exhaust, wear a body kit sculpted to cut through air, and carry inside it a steering wheel that costs more than some people's first paycheck. Most people walking past will not understand it. Some will shake their heads.
Within 2 years, that
Ray
forgotten
will look at
Civic
it
will sit
and see
lower
a
to the
piece of
ground,
himself
breathe
made
through a
physical.
custom exhaust,
This is not
and
just
carry
a
a custom
story
steering
about
wheel.
cars. This is a story about what happens inside the human mind when someone refuses to accept ordinary. People who turn regular cars into something extraordinary are not a random group. They share a particular way of experiencing the world that sets them apart from those who simply use objects for their intended purpose. Where most people see a product, these individuals see a starting point. Where most people
This is a story about what happens inside the human mind when someone refuses to accept ordinary. People who turn regular cars into something extraordinary are not a random group.
Cars. It reflects a deeper psychological orientation toward the world itself.
Where most people see a product, these individuals see a starting point.
Through which this
Where most
orientation
people accept
expresses
default
itself most
settings,
powerfully.
these
Because a
individuals
car is
ask
one
a
of the
different
few
question
objects in modern
entirely.
life
They
that a
ask
person
what
both
this
owns
could become
completely and
if
inhabits
someone
daily.
cared enough to
It moves
try.
through the world alongside
This
its owner.
mindset
It
extends
is seen
far
by
beyond
strangers.
cars.
It carries identity in a way that most possessions simply
It reflects
cannot.
a deeper psychological
Psychologists who
orientation
study
toward the world
creativity
itself.
and self-concept have long noted that people use their surroundings to externalize internal identity. The clothes a person chooses,
The car
way
becomes
they
the
arrange
medium
their
through
living
which identity
space,
powerfully
the objects
expresses
they
itself,
surround
is own
themselves
completely
with,
inhabited
all of
daily.
these function as a kind of outer autobiography. They tell the story of who a person believes themselves to be, or more precisely, who they are working to become. A car that has been transformed
carries
from something
identity in a way that
ordinary
most
into something
possessions simply
remarkable
cannot.
performs this function at a scale few other possessions
Psychologists
can
have
match.
long
It
noted that
broadcasts
people use their
identity at
surroundings
60
to
miles an hour.
externalize their
It
internal life. The
communicates
clothes a person
values,
chooses, the way they
ambitions,
arrange
and
their living space,
personality
the
to
objects they
hundreds of
surround themselves
strangers
with,
every
all of these
single
function
day
as a kind
without
they
a
tell the
single
story
word
of who a
being
person
spoken.
believes themselves to be.
There is a
Or more
woman named
precisely,
Sofia
who
from
they
the
are working. A
outskirts
car
of
that has been
Chicago.
transformed
Her
from
body
something
used
ordinary into
Volkswagen
something
Golf in
remarkable
22
performs
for
this function at a scale
$3,000.
few other.
It had a small dent in the rear bumper and a radio that cut out on cold mornings. Her co-workers assumed she would drive it as it was until it fell apart. Instead, Sofia spent the
from
next
Chicago's
3 years
outskirts bought
transforming
this
it piece
used
by
VW
piece.
Golf at
She learned to
22
do
for
most of the work herself,
$3,000.
spending weekends
had a
watching
small
tutorials,
dent in the rear
borrowing
bumper,
tools from neighbors,
and a radio
making
that cut out
mistakes
on
and
cold
correcting
morning.
them.
Her
She
co-workers
repainted it in a
assumed
matte
she would
deep
drive
green
it
that
as
she
it
had seen in
was
a
until it
photograph
fell
of
apart.
Japanese forests. She lowered the suspension until the car sat close to the road with a stance that felt deliberate and confident. She rebuilt the interior with materials she chose carefully
I'll borrow
over
this wrench from
months.
the neighbors.
When people asked her why she invested so much into something so ordinary, her answer was always the same. She said she wanted to drive something that felt like a decision, not a default.
She rebuilt the
That
interior
phrase
with
reveals
materials she
something
chose
important.
carefully over
The
months.
psychology of transformation is
When people
fundamentally
asked her
about
why
agency.
she invested so much into
Agency
something
is
so
the
ordinary,
psychological
her
experience
answer
of being
was
the
always,
author
she
of
wanted
one's
to
own
drive
life,
something that
of
felt
making
like a
choices
decision,
that have real
not a
consequences and reflect genuine values.
That phrase reveals something
Research
important.
in self-determination theory, developed by
The
psychologists
psychology of
Edward Desai and
transformation is
Richard
fundamentally
Ryan,
about
identifies
agency.
autonomy as one of the
You are
most
the author of your
fundamental
agency
human
is the psychological
needs.
experience of being the
When this
author
need
of one's
goes
own life,
unmet,
of
people
making choices that have
experience a
real
kind of
consequences.
internal
Research
restlessness,
identifies
a feeling that
autonomy
their
as a
life is happening
fundamental
to them
human
rather than being
psychological
shaped
need.
by them. For many people who transform ordinary cars, the project becomes a direct answer to this restlessness. In a world where most choices are made within narrow corridors of acceptable behavior, where jobs and social roles often demand conformity, the car becomes the one domain
Every
where a
decision
person
is
exercises total creative control. Every decision
Every
is theirs.
detail reflects
Every
a deliberate
detail
choice.
reflects a deliberate choice.
Nothing left to
Nothing
chance.
exists by accident.
Nothing exists by accident.
This need for creative control intersects with another
See?
powerful
No accident.
psychological
This need for creative
force,
control
the drive
intersects
toward
with another
mastery.
powerful
Human
psychological
beings are not
force,
designed
the
for
drive toward-
passivity. The brain rewards the development of skill with genuine pleasure. When a person moves from not knowing how to do something to being able to do it well, neural pathways strengthen, dopamine
When a person moves from not knowing how to do something to being able to do it well, neural pathways strengthen, dopamine releases, and a quiet. People who transform cars develop deep technical knowledge. They learn about suspension, aerodynamics,
geometry,
paint chemistry,
engine tuning, and electrical systems. This knowledge is not
This knowledge is not incidental to
It
the
is central
project.
to its psychological meaning.
It is
The transformation of
central to
the
its
car
psychological
and the
meaning.
transformation of the person happen simultaneously. The car gets rebuilt from the outside. The person gets rebuilt from the inside. Consider a man named James from Birmingham who spent his 20s feeling invisible. He worked in a large office building, sat in the same chair every day, and spent his evenings staring at screens. His life, as he described it, felt like something that had been assigned to him rather than built by him. When he bought a second-hand BMW and started modifying it, something
His
shifted,
life, as
not
he described
immediately
it,
and not
felt like
dramatically.
something that had been assigned to him
But gradually,
rather than built
over
by
months of learning and building and failing and trying again, he began to feel differently about himself.
Not immediately,
Not because the car
and not
made him
dramatically.
important, but because the process of transforming it proved to
But
him
gradually,
that he was
over months of
capable
learning
creating
and building and
something real.
failing and trying again,
He told
he
a
began
friend
to feel
that working
different,
on the car
not
was the
because the
first
car
time in
made him
years that he had
important.
gone to bed feeling like he had actually done something. That feeling, small as it might seem, was psychologically significant. It restored a sense
For
of
your
self-efficacy that modern life
Working on the
had
car made
quietly
me feel
eroded.
accomplished.
The act of transforming something ordinary into something extraordinary also carries a quiet philosophical
It restored a
defiance.
sense of self-efficacy
Consumer
that
culture
modern
operates
life
on a
had
simple
quietly
premise.
eroded.
Objects have a fixed identity. A Civic is a Civic. A Golf is a Golf. They were designed,
Consumer culture
manufactured,
operates
and
on a
marketed
simple
with
premise.
a particular
Here,
kind
a
of person
defiant
in mind,
choice breaks
and
the
that person is
conformity.
expected to use them as intended until they wear out and are replaced by the next version. People who transform cars
Civic
reject
is a
this
Civic,
premise entirely.
but it's
They
not
treat the
finished.
manufactured
It's raw
object not
material.
as a finished
A
statement,
Golf
but
is a
as raw
Golf.
material. They assert that meaning is not assigned by manufacturers,
They were
but
designed for a
created by
particular
individuals.
person
This
who
is not a
uses them
small thing
until they wear out
psychologically.
and are replaced.
It represents a fundamental refusal to accept that the world around us is fixed and final. It says that ordinary things can be made extraordinary if someone cares enough and knows enough and works
They
hard enough
assert
to
that
make it
meaning
happen.
is not assigned by
Walk
manufacturers
into any
but
car meet
created
where
by
modified
individuals.
vehicles are gathered,
This is
and
not
the
a
social
small thing
psychology becomes
psychologically.
immediately
Yeah,
visible.
I get that.
These events are
It's a
not
big-
really
It
about
represents a
cars.
fundamental
They are about
refusal
people
to
finding
accept
each
that the
other.
world around us is
The
fixed and
individuals who
final.
gather
It says
around
that ordinary
transformed
things can be made
vehicles share a
extraordinary
particular
if someone
kind of
cares
recognition.
enough and knows
They
enough and
understand
works hard
without
enough.
explanation the hours behind each modification, the decisions made and reconsidered, the small victories and
These
the
events
frustrating
are not
setbacks.
really about
There is a
cars.
language spoken at these gatherings that outsiders cannot fully enter. It is built from shared knowledge and shared values, and a shared belief that the ordinary
They understand
does
without
not have to
explanation
stay
the hours
ordinary.
behind each modification, the decisions
Communities
made and
built around
reconsidered,
this
the small
belief
victories.
provide something that
Insiders
modern
speak a language
social life
outsiders can't
often
enter.
fails to deliver.
It's earned by
They
hands
offer
covered in
belonging
work,
that is
not by
earned
It is
rather
built
than
from
inherited.
shared knowledge and
Status
shared
within these
values and a
communities
shared
does
belief
not
that the
come from
ordinary
wealth
does not
or
have to
job
stay.
titles or
Communities
social
built around
connection.
this belief
It comes
provide
from
something that
craft,
modern
from
social
knowledge,
life
from the
often
evidence of
fails to
genuine
deliver.
effort
They
visible
offer
in the
belonging
vehicle
that is
itself.
earned rather than inherited.
There's also something deeply human in the transformation
Status within
process
these
that goes
communities
beyond
does not
psychology
come from
and
wealth
touches
or
something
job
closer to
titles or
philosophy.
social connection.
Every
It comes from
civilization
craft,
that has ever
from
existed
knowledge,
has placed
from the
value
evidence
on the
of
act of
genuine
making,
effort
on
visible
taking
in the
raw
vehicle.
material
There is
and
also
shaping
something
it into
deeply
something
human
that
in the
did not exist
transformation
before.
process that goes
This
beyond
drive to
psychology
create,
and touches
to
something
impose
closer.
order
Every
and vision and
civilization
meaning
that has
onto the
ever
physical
existed
world
has
is
placed
woven
value
into
on the
human
act of
nature at a
making.
level that predates every cultural or historical context. People who transform regular
This
cars
drive to
are
create.
participating in this ancient impulse. They are makers. The medium is modern
People
and
who
the material is
transform regular
industrial,
cars
but
are
the act itself
participating in this
is as
ancient
old as the
they are
first human
makers.
being who picked up a stone and decided it could become something more.
The medium is
What makes
modern
this
and the material is
behavior so
industrial,
revealing
but the act
is what it
itself
says
is as
about
old
the
as the
human
first human being who
relationship
picked up a
with
stone and
potential.
decided.
Most
What makes
people,
this
when they look
behavior
at
so
something
revealing
ordinary,
is
accept
what
it
it
as
says about the
complete.
human
They see what it
relationship with
is.
potential.
People
Most
who
people,
transform cars
when they
look at
look
the
at
same
something
object and see
ordinary,
what it could be.
accept
That
it as
gap between what
complete.
is and what could be is where all creative and transformative energy lies. It is the space where art comes from, where
People who
innovation
transform
comes from,
cars
where
look at the
personal
same
growth comes
object
from.
and see what it could
The
be.
person who turns a regular car
gap
into
between
something
what is and what
extraordinary
could
has
be
learned to live
is
in
where
that
all
gap,
creative and
to find it not
transformative- it is the
frustrating but
space where art
exciting,
comes from,
not overwhelming
where
but
innovation
full of
comes from,
possibility.
where personal growth
When
comes.
Ray
Exciting.
finally finished
Find it
his
not
Civic
overwhelming,
and
but
drove
full
it
of
for the
possibility.
first time through empty streets at night, he was not
Use
thinking
this
about
as
what other
Intercom.
people would say. He was thinking about the distance between what the car had been and what it had become, and quietly recognizing that the same distance existed inside himself. The car had not just been transformed. It had transformed him. That is what these projects ultimately are. They are not about vehicles. They are about people discovering that
They
the
are not
ordinary
about
is never
vehicles.
truly fixed, that anything, including themselves,
The ordinary
can
is
become
never
something
fixed.
extraordinary
With work,
if they are willing to
anything
do the
can
work.
become extraordinary.